saying, well, I have the blueprint. I have the blueprint.
She's referring to her and her marriage as the blueprint?
She said, yeah, I have the blueprints. I have the blueprints. You know, with Martell, you got to put your foot down. You got to let him know what you stand like. I left Martell for 6 months, and that whipped him into shape. I don't know. You think maybe she's telling me I need to leave Martell for a little bit?
Honey, no. And if she was, that's the most ridiculous I've ever heard, ever. Yeah. I don't think Mel is in the best position to give blueprints or marital advice. Because you have 10 years to your back, doesn't necessarily mean that the road was not rough. So, she can keep her advice. You trying to reach some of your goals are gonna be incongruent with some of the goals he's trying to reach. You just gotta find a happy medium.
I think she believed that they have done that. They're there at that point in their life.
And so he had to cheat to get there? It was tough.
Tough is an understatement.
I felt sorry for Mel.
I did too. It took Martell a long time to answer that question about the possibility of what if.
It took way too long. Matter of fact, he never answered it. That made it even worse.
Right.
No, I don't like that you and Marceau said y'all would stay and hang out with somebody that you know was actively involved with, like somebody messing around.
And you think that being there makes you complicit? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that you have an influence on someone.
Once you stay, you make a choice to participate.
No, you don't, because you're not cheating. I've been around Martell and her. I didn't see their interactions. So I didn't see she makes me feel this way or whatever, right? In that situation, I told Martell, bro, this is not it. This is not what you should be doing. But going forward, I'm not leaving a party because somebody's cheating. No, I'm not.
Owes my family an apology. More so because a lot of times he'll have this perspective of it was a joke or I was trying to be funny and it did not land at.
Oh, honey, when Melody Shari opens her mouth, you better believe everyone stops what they're doing and listens. And what she just spilled about Kimmy Scott? Child, it has set the streets on fire. Now, before we dive deep into all this piping hot tea, we need to take a step back and really understand the layers of drama between these two. Because trust and believe, Melody isn't just throwing shade for the fun of it. This goes way deeper than that. We're talking about loyalty, trust, and the kind of emotional wounds that only come from feeling stabbed in the back by someone you thought had your back.
Think about Kimmy insisting you had the shakes. Damn, it went away again. Insisting you had the shakes as a nurse, do you think her comments were dangerous? I do. Yeah. I don't know. If you look at the hug, it's very quick. I don't know how she could have felt me having the shakes from just like a, hey, how you doing? How am I? Hey, how you know, am I doing all that? The fun? Like, I don't know how. I don't know. I think it's very irresponsible of her as a nurse to say anything like that or put anything like that out and give them more ammo to be able to say things that are not true. So yeah, I do.
Now let me tell you about the relationship between Melody Shari and Kimmy Scott on Love and Marriage Huntsville, because baby, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. Back in the early seasons, these ladies seemed to have nothing but respect for each other. Kimmy was always that voice of reason, you know what I'm saying? She stayed in her lane, kept things real, and focused on the practical side of life. Meanwhile, poor Melody was going through absolute hell, especially after Martell Holt's cheating scandal exploded in her face. At first, Kimmy appeared to be that shoulder Melody needed to cry on, giving her that genuine support we all love to see. But chilly, things started getting messier than a toddler eating spaghetti. What used to look like a beautiful friendship turned into nothing but heated arguments and tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. And let me tell you about the moment that set social media ablaze, when Kimmy flat out refused to call Martell's mistress a side chick. Meanwhile, Melody was being raw and real about how that woman helped destroy her marriage. But Kimmy, she played it cool like those labels didn't mean a thing. To Melody, that felt like a straight-up slap to the face, like Kimmy was dismissing all the pain she'd been through. Honey, that was just the beginning of what Melody now calls Kim's hypocrisy. As time went on, their interactions got colder than a winter night in Alaska. Melody started calling Kimmy out left and right for what she saw as selective accountability, quick to judge others but never wanting to own up to her own mess. The fans weren't blind either. They caught how Kimmy always tried to play both sides, but Melody wasn't having any of that. She saw right through Kimmy's neutral act as nothing but a way to avoid taking a real stand when it mattered most. And that whole situation with Kimmy not calling out Martell's mistress? Baby, that was just the tip of the iceberg showing how deep their problems really went. At the heart of all this drama between Melody and Kimmy is loyalty. Or should I say the complete lack of it? Melody feels like Kim's so-called neutrality is just a fancy way of quietly siding with the very people who tore her life apart. Chile, in a recent episode, Melody had absolutely had it with Kim's double standards. She went all the way in, holding nothing back. It's funny how Kimmy refuses to call Martell's mistress a side chick, but she's quick to judge how I handle my life, Melody fired back during their heated exchange. And let me tell you something, that moment wasn't just about some label, it was years of frustration finally boiling over. For Melody, Kimmy's refusal to call out Martell's mistress wasn't just about choosing words carefully, it was a sign that Kimmy was never really in her corner during one of the darkest times of her life. On top of that, Melody hit Kimmy with the truth bomb that her neutrality was basically taking Martell's side, which left her feeling betrayed, especially after being so vulnerable and raw on the show. Baby, the fans wasted no time jumping into this mess. Some were Team Melody all the way, saying Kimmy's fence-sitting was nothing but betrayal of their friendship. Others stood by Kimmy, claiming she was just trying to stay above the drama. But nobody, and I mean nobody, could deny the raw emotion in Melody's voice during that confrontation. What made this whole situation even more explosive was that it wasn't just some random argument. This was years of tension, shifting loyalties, and different views about accountability all coming to a head at once. When Melody started speaking her truth, those words hit like bombs, exposing all the pain she'd been holding inside and laying bare the real cracks in their friendship for the whole world to see.
Recall when you wanted us to go to one of the galas around Christmas time. And my response was, I don't feel like being bougie, I want to be with my family. Like, I don't want to spend all
But why
my
I
time.
gotta be considered bougie because you don't want to go to galas? Just so we clear.
But
so
this
going
is
to
what
galas
I'm
is nothing
saying. You
being
ask
bougie.
for examples, and when you
You're
get
getting
them,
it. I hear you.
you don't want them.
No, I hear you. Now, I'm not gonna change anything about because like you say all the time, hey, Kimmy, with Kimmy, what you see is what you get. I am who
And
I
it
am.
is. And that's
the same
exactly
thing with
correct.
me.
The
Accept
difference
it or you
is
don't
I
want to
own it.
accept it. Well, I'm not finna own
There's
it.
the
Say I'm
difference.
bougie. I'm
I own
sorry.
it. I don't know why, because y'all.
What makes a person bougie?
Look in the mirror.
All I know today is not the same Mel I used to hang out with. She was bougie but fun. You know, it was different. But today it's like a whole new Mel and I just don't even know.
I can't be around folks that think that I act like I'm bougie or better than anybody when I'm not. Nothing has changed in my life to make me start acting a certain way. The things I do, the things I buy.
That's so inaccurate.
Now let's talk about Kimmy Scott, honey. She's always been known as Little Miss Fair and Balanced, refusing to call Martell Holt's mistress a side chick because she claims she's trying to stay above the drama. According to Kimmy, she doesn't believe in putting labels on people or situations unless it's absolutely necessary. In her mind, those labels just stir up more mess than they're worth. And let's keep it real, Kimmy's been through her own share of public scrutiny, especially when it comes to her relationship with Maurice Scott. She knows what it's like to have everyone all up in your business, so maybe that's why she's so hesitant to judge others. In her mind, avoiding labels is her way of taking the high road and staying out of the gossip. But baby, Melody ain't buying what Kimmy's selling. To her, Kimmy's neutrality looks more like straight-up hypocrisy. While Kimmy won't call out Martell's mistress, she's got plenty to say about how Melody's handling her life after the divorce. This double standard cuts Melody deep. It feels personal, like Kimmy's picking and choosing when to speak up, and Melody clearly ain't making the cut. For Melody, Kimmy's refusal to call out Martell and his side piece sends one clear message. I'm not really here for you, sis. And it's not just about the words, it's what those words represent. For Melody, who's had to deal with public shame and heartbreak, having a so-called friend downplay her pain feels like another betrayal. This whole situation has thrown their friendship into complete chaos, forcing both women to really look at their values and see how they match up. Melody's frustration with Kimmy's inconsistency is real as it gets, and baby, she is not holding back in letting it be known.
You know, well, I have the blueprint. I have the blueprint.
She's referring to her and
She
her
was like,
marriage
"No."
as the blueprint?
She said, yeah, I have the blueprints. I have the blueprints. You know, with Martell, you gotta put your foot down. You gotta let him know what you stand like. I I left Martell for 6 months, and that whipped him into shape. I don't know. You think maybe she's telling me I need to leave Martell for a little bit?
Honey, no. And if she was, that's the most ridiculous I've ever heard, ever.
Yeah.
I don't think Mel is in the best position to give blueprints or marital advice. Because you have 10 years to your back, doesn't necessarily mean that the road was not rough. So she can keep her advice. You trying to reach some of your goals are gonna be incongruent with some of the goals he's trying to reach. You just gotta find a happy medium.
I think she believed that they have done that. They're there at that point in their life.
And so he
she's
had to
like,
cheat to get there?
Chile, let me tell you about this moment of unfiltered truth when Melody dropped a bomb about why Kimmy might be so sensitive about the whole infidelity conversation. According to Melody, Kimmy's reluctance to pick a side might be hiding some deep-seated fears about her own relationship. Now, don't get it twisted. This wasn't just Melody throwing wild accusations. She was connecting dots based on Kimmy's behavior. Melody suggested that Kim's constant dodging of harsh labels and direct confrontation might be because she's terrified of opening up Pandora's box in her own marriage. And let's be real, we've all seen how uncomfortable Kimmy gets when people start questioning Maurice's loyalty. Melody went all the way in, suggesting that Kimmy's insistence on staying neutral could be her way of protecting herself, trying to keep her own relationship drama from spilling out into the open. During one intense scene, Melody confronted Kimmy directly, saying, "You talk about neutrality, but it feels like you're neutral when it suits you. What are you really afraid of here?" That question hit like a ton of bricks, bold and straight to the point, showing just how ready Melody was to face those uncomfortable truths. And baby, this revelation shook the whole cast. Not only did it catch Kimmy completely off guard, but it had everyone else shook. The idea that Kimmy's neutrality might be coming from her own personal fears? Chile, nobody saw that coming. And trust me, it didn't stop there. Melody's words sent shockwaves through the entire group. Letitia Scott, who's never been Melody's biggest fan, jumped right into the mess, siding with Kimmy and throwing shade at Melody, claiming she was just being bitter rather than speaking truth. Meanwhile, Martell Holt was sitting there laughing with irritation, brushing off Melody's criticism of Kimmy as just another attempt to control the narrative. But here's where it gets interesting. Martell couldn't completely back Kimmy either. He actually threw her under the bus, suggesting that her neutral act wasn't as innocent as she made it seem. It was one of those rare moments where Melody and Martell actually agreed on something, but we all know that kind of peace never lasts long in this group.
Owes my family an apology. More so because a lot of times he'll have this perspective of it was a joke or I was trying to be funny and it did not land.
Now let me tell you how Kimmy handled all this tea being spilled. Baby, Melody's accusations hit her like a freight train. At first, she tried to play it cool, acting like it was all just unnecessary drama. But honey, her body language told a different story. That calm and collected facade she usually wears, it cracked wide open. You could literally see Melody's words sinking in, leaving Kimmy looking more uncomfortable than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Maurice Scott wasn't about to let his wife take all that heat alone. He jumped right into the fire, defending Kimmy's choice to avoid labeling others and accused Melody of crossing the line. But Chile, this drama spread through the cast faster than gossip at a Sunday brunch. Tiffany and Lou Whipple found themselves right in the middle of it all at a group event, and Tiffany didn't hold back. She admitted seeing some truth in what Melody was saying, while Louis suggested everybody needed to hit the reset button on how they handle their personal beef. What's crystal clear is that this showdown between Melody and Kimmy is shaking up the whole group something fierce. Alliances are being tested left and right, and tensions are rising higher than a pressure cooker. While some cast members are living for Melody's outspokenness, calling it necessary and real, others are worried she's causing more damage than good. But don't get it twisted. The fans are rallying behind Melody like nobody's business. They're praising her for being bold enough to speak her truth and not tiptoeing around like everybody else. One fan said it best, "Melody is the only one brave enough to call out the hypocrisy. Everyone else is too busy trying to play it safe." But Kimmy's got her defenders too. Some viewers appreciate her trying to keep the peace and avoid adding fuel to the fire. One person wrote, "Kimmy doesn't use harsh words or labels. She's trying to stay above the mess, and that's admirable." Now, not everyone's team Melody. Some fans are calling her approach too confrontational, saying she's just airing her personal grievances to stir up drama for the cameras. And Chile, you can see the divide clear as day. This feud has become one of the most polarizing storylines on the show. But what do y'all think? Was Melody right for calling out Kimmy? Or is there something deeper going on that we haven't figured out yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you're hooked on all this drama like we are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. You know we'll be bringing you all the latest tea, insider gossip, and shocking twists from Love and Marriage Huntsville. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for even more jaw-dropping revelations.